We continue to focus on the telecom space. Let's get you a sense of what brokerages are saying after Jio's big move, to hike, to actually finally put a price on those calls, particularly to other networks. That's the move that's come in on those voice calls. Let's go across to Pankaj for more on that. Pankaj?
To tell you what brokerages are talking about this particular news that has come in from Reliance Jio. The thing is that they are quite surprised by this particular move. Not that anybody had anticipated it. CLSA says that this will lead to upgrades if it continues. However, they would wait and watch as to what happens post 1st Jan 2020. As of now, passing of IUC costs comes in as a temporary measure. It comes in as a surprise on the positive side. Morgan Stanley says that if this sustains till about 1 year, because they expect that delay could also happen as far as passing or abolishing of this IUC charges are concerned. And that means that it could lead to a significant upside in terms of EBITDA, or if not an upside for EBITDA, at least it gives room for Bharti and Vodafone Idea also to go ahead and increase the prices in the future or levy such similar charges, which could have a positive impact as far as their EBITDA is concerned. Most of the other brokerages also point out that they are positively surprised. This comes in as a positive news for the industry that IUC charges are passed or tariffs are being raised.
Okay. Sanjay Kapoor, former CEO with Bharti Airtel and former chairman with Micromax joined just now. Sanjay, can I draw the headline as very simple, which is that the disruptive pricing is now behind us? If Reliance has moved, others will move, and others will move. That means goodbye to disruptive telecom pricing.
My viewpoint on this might be a little different from what you're suggesting. I'm not negating what you're saying, but it's just a difference of perspective. And my perspective is that, $1.50 ARPU market in any part of the world, given the technological transformations this industry has been facing, to make promises that are going to last for life are not easy promises to be made. And especially, in a circumstance where all companies in the Indian market post-consolidation are still very tight on cash flows. And this is the first signal which tells you that if any price war that's going to continue is going to be on net. But when it comes to cash outflow of a company to another company, and here it's IUC, then we need to recover that cost. That is one. The second thing that's coming across is that with this consolidation also came simplification of tariffs in the Indian marketplace. And it was a simple tariff where everything was rolled into a package, and therefore life was very simple for customer, which probably, the customers earlier had to, have various types of recharge coupons, top-up coupons, etc. So the life was made simple. With this, again, we are going back to complexity, although it is just one variant, but there is complexity where we are saying, I need to recover this and I need to recover it from a top-up mechanism. So that's some bit of, confusion that comes in. The third bit, which is very important, is that the world over, the telco operators used to recover about 60% of the ecosystem revenues in the past, which with the play of data actually has fallen to about 40%. Going forward with 5G coming in and more OTT play happening, don't know whether it has a propensity to go down, but definitely the costs for operators are going to go up because the amount of investments you have to make in creating capacity and experience is disproportionate to the return that the consumer is willing to pay you. When the consumer moves from a high-definition video to a 4K video to a 8K video, he's not going to pay you a 10x or a 20x or a 100x increase in data consumption for the same content. So I think given that, this should mean that anything that is cross-operators will be recovered, and therefore a little bit of respite if this carries on and the termination charges don't become zero. But on-net play is not going to die down for the simple reason that the challenger in the market has at least a 50% aspiration on the market share. Until he really gets close to it, I'd be very surprised if he will relent on, putting pressure on the market.
Sanjay, great points. Let me bring Rajan into this conversation as well. Rajan, let me get your perspective. We've of course had, Bharti also come out, make a statement saying that, Jio had made a promise, but the cost pressures continue for the industry. What's your first reaction to Jio's move on the IUC? How are you viewing it?
Thanks, Abhay. First of all, I think all operators try to cover their costs, and clearly this is a situation where the interconnect cost, if they continue, depending on what ultimately is decided by TRAI, clearly is a cost parameter to Jio. And the fact that now Jio is trying to cover that cost with some anticipation that interconnect might continue is not an abnormal type of a decision from an operator. Our position at COAI, which is the majority position, obviously Jio has a minority point of view, is that in a calling party pays regime, only one side gets the revenue, the other side, which is the terminating side, gets zero. And so therefore, in order to equal out that sort of balance, if you will, the interconnect charge is provided. So world over, in a calling party pays regime, I've never seen an interconnect charge reduced to zero. Of course, there is this notion of a bill and keep, but that's when the balance of trade between both sides is almost equal. Clearly, Jio itself has indicated that that's not the case. And so clearly we will have to wait now for the regulator to decide based on the inputs received from the industry where it will go.
The point what we are trying to understand and perhaps debate is that will Reliance continue to go after market share, or now companies need to get conscious of how the disruptive pricing is? Rajan?
So clearly market share will always be a metric that operators will go. It obviously lends credibility to their valuations. The larger the market share, obviously the greater the power to influence outcomes in the marketplace. So that will continue. However, what is usually a acceptable market share? There's been credible analysis from some really credible institutions that indicate that when institutions or when companies start exceeding a 43% market share, then the competition gets to become rather irrational because they see it as a rather ominous, dangerous sign. So again, if a operator begins to start getting to, say, a 50%, that will perhaps portend some more disruptive pricing from the competitors who obviously would not feel very comfortable with that type of a market share. Obviously, those are market dynamics. We'll have to see how this proceeds.
But purely in terms of earnings, Sanjay, and a balance sheet impact, so to speak, on Jio, a lot of reports this morning are saying that this particular move, even if it's temporary, is going to drive profits higher for Reliance Jio. Do you think that would be the case? I mean, I'm seeing all EBITDA estimates of about 41% jump coming in the first quarter itself.
Yes, of course. If you look at immediate benefit of what they do, of course, it will boost up their earnings. However, I think a bigger picture needs to be kept in mind. Reliance did not put in billions of dollars into a disruptive play to be satiated with a one-third market share. With BSNL, MTNL virtually having gone, the market can't be evenly divided. That will not make Jio achieve the aspiration which it had while entering this market. And therefore, my belief still is that they want a much higher market share as stated by them. And I think they will keep, pressurizing the market and make sure that they are disruptive enough to get that. But I think the world picture is very important here. And I work with several telecom operators globally. Market after market, there are three players now after consolidation. The first guy makes money, the second guy is on the brink, and the third guy actually loses money. Yes, I agree with Rajan that there'll always be a propensity by the third guy and the second guy to step up on the market share if there's a big difference on market share. But the other fact, which is also true, is that size matters, because no matter what is the size of your balance sheet, the amount of capital required to transform from 4G to 5G and 5G to 6G is identical for everybody. And with the technology, the length of technology shortening and the amount of capital required more and more as you go forward, and the share of the ecosystem play coming down from telco operators, the small operators are becoming absolutely unviable. And this is happening the world over. Therefore, size matters and market share matters.
Okay.
And no matter with those small challenges,
Right.
you have to be right at the top.
All right, Sanjay, appreciate your time. Thank you for that fantastic insight and the way you've really broken up the big picture for us.